Molly, all these really abusive drugs that we go to social outings and maybe it makes us more outgoing. Maybe it makes us enjoy the. Hey, how are you? Hope you're having a fantastic day. I am so excited to be bringing this training and webinar to you wherever you might be. Are you in a bad mood? How to identify and change your mood. One thing I know we all have in common as human beings is our mood is constantly changing. No matter what, we might wake up and it's a great day, and then something strikes, and throughout the day, we get some bad news and it changes our whole mood. Who has had that happen? Raise your hand. Have you ever gone through the day, you had a great mood, and then you got some bad news, you got cut off in traffic, maybe you got a flat tire, something didn't go your way, and it completely altered our mood for the rest of the day, the week, maybe even months. So what I'd love to do is for us to identify what percentage of our mood are in these different categories throughout the day. So how do we identify our moods? Very simply is we can look at the mood scale. So from happy to good, so-so, sad, bad mood, and anxious mood. We can even dive into this even further by looking at our mood meter. So how are you feeling? And I love the different colors. Red on the top left represents being angry. In the bottom left, blue, it's kind of doom and gloom, sadness. Then yellow is upbeat, happy, like a smiley face. And then green is just really even keel, very secure, just chill, relax, not in a very aggressive mood whatsoever. So I like these different colors where we can really dive in. Have you ever felt to yourself going through the day, I feel off, but I'm not really sure why I'm feeling off? So if you're ever feeling off, go and turn to the mood meter. This might be able to help you identify how you're really feeling. But really this training is to help us understand those moments as we go through our days. Number one, to develop more awareness for our mood and how we're feeling and what we can do to actually change it. So what affects your mood negatively? Let's first dive into this. Number one is any type of craving. Right now, I'm currently studying to get my master's degree in mindfulness, which is really rooted in Buddhism. And all suffering comes from craving, which might seem contrary because whenever we're stressed out or we're anxious, maybe we turn to these type of cravings such as nicotine and tobacco to relieve that stress. But ultimately, we were dropped off in a desert island somewhere and we didn't have access to these products. How would it make us feel being separated from our tobacco or nicotine or whatever product we might be craving? Could be food, could be alcohol. So we want to reduce our dependency on cigarettes or anything that's going to require us to crave this product. Because the more that we crave something, the more we're going to be attached to it. And we're looking for those quick dopamine releases. And the more dopamine releases that we get from cigarettes or vaping or alcohol or any other thing that can be very addictive, we're looking for that quick fix, but it's not a long-term solution. So we're always going to need to come right back to it. So this can be alcohol, which is going to produce anxiety, depression, anger, hangovers, which can last several days and put us really in a bad mood as we go throughout our weeks. Non-prescribed drugs, so anything that's not prescribed by a doctor. And I'm speaking about some really hard drugs, cocaine, Molly, all these really abusive drugs that we go to social outings and maybe it makes us more outgoing, maybe it makes us enjoy the moment a little bit better, but ultimately these can drive us hard into depression, emotional outbursts, mood swings, persistent irritability. So it's very important we stay away from any non-prescribed drugs. Of course, please keep taking your prescribed drugs from your doctor. Please don't stop those, but anything that's not prescribed from a doctor, it's going to alter our mood. Maybe for the moment it makes us feel good, but we're going to crave that after the effects wear off and the next day we wake up. We're going to either want it again and again and again, and therefore that craving for that thing, that desire for that thing is going to suck us in, pull us in, and make us want it even more, which is actually going to cause us to suffer more than when we indulge in the activity or the drug itself. Then there's excessive sugars and refined foods. I'm guilty of this myself. I love chocolate chip cookies. There's nothing better than a hot plate of chocolate chip cookies that just came out the oven. Sorry to make you want a hot chocolate chip cookie if you love them as much as me. But the fact is we have to have self-discipline. If not, we're going to gain weight. We're going to have these huge insulin spikes, which are going to make us crash hard and make us feel really tired and depressed. And we can develop mental health disorders around eating. So we really want to try to stay away from anything high on the glycemic index, which if you don't know what the glycemic index is, it's really the ratio of simple complex carbohydrates and complex carbohydrates. So you have simple carbohydrates and you have complex carbohydrates. Simple carbohydrates are like donuts, things high in sugar, and they're going to give us a high spike in insulin, which is going to make us feel good for 20, 30 minutes, but then it's going to come down really hard. Whereas complex carbohydrates are like whole grains, anything with high fiber in it is going to sustain our energy levels for over a long period of time. So that way, we feel good for a long time rather than a quick high and a quick come down. So other factors that might affect our mood, definitely poor sleep, lack of sleep. I know if I don't get the right adequate amount of sleep, I feel like a walking zombie and I just get really irritable. I get upset at things that might not bother me otherwise. So it's really important that we gauge the amount of sleep that we might need on a daily basis. I know for myself, it's about 7 to 8 hours of good sleep. Then food and hunger cravings. This is huge, making sure that we're not binge eating and that we're eating the right foods, that we're not, eating a bunch of foods that have preservatives and additives. So ultimately, this is going to make us store more fat. This is going to mess with our mood just with the certain nutrients. I am not a nutritionist, so if you want more information on this, please reach out to a nutritionist. I can definitely point you in the right direction. But ultimately, eating late at night is probably a huge area where most of us get hunger cravings. It's like after 7 o'clock, all my sugar cravings come in. That's when I want the hot chocolate chip cookies. Like all day I've been eating fine, but then as soon as it's right before bed, I just get really hungry. So we want to try to avoid this, and I'll get into that a little bit more later on why. News and media. With the rise of social media, there's what's called doom scrolling, and maybe you've been sucked into this, maybe you haven't, but literally we can go on this doom and gloom trail where we see one thing negative, one news headline, and it's just so entertaining. It's just so fascinating. We just want to keep scrolling for more and more, but eventually we get sucked into this and our brains have what's called neuroplasticity. So we're literally wiring and firing, and our neurons in our brain are creating new neural connections every single day. So our brain is never set in stone, constantly changing and evolving. And if we're going down the rabbit trail of doom scrolling, then we're going to start negatively programming our brains to look for the negative in life. Then eventually this is going to increase our anxiety and depression, because if everything's doom and gloom, if the world sucks, then we must suck, then everything must suck, then what's the point? And we simply know this is not true. Just as much bad there is in the world, there's probably even more good happening that maybe we're not paying attention to, that maybe the social media outlets don't give as much attention as maybe they should, but it doesn't get the views, doesn't get the likes, doesn't get the subscribes. Bad weather. If you live more up north where, we're in the winter season and we have what's called seasonal affective disorder. So this is real. If we have several days, weeks, months with bad weather, we're more likely to be depressed, sadness, lacking motivation. So it's very important we're getting plenty of vitamin D if possible. If you can't get some kind of artificial vitamin D, take a supplement. But if you live in an area where you're constantly getting bad weather, gray skies, foggy weather, try to move somewhere else or take a supplement that's going to give you the proper vitamin D that we need to feel more positively about our days. Mismanaging finances. This is a huge one. A lot of us probably struggle with. If we can't afford the essentials, which is really our house, our electricity, our water, and our food. I forgot to put food in there, but of course, these are the 4 essentials. If we can't afford our bills, of course, we're going to be stressed out, anxious, and depressed about our lives because we're just struggling to survive. Yeah. So if you struggle with any of this, please reach out. Excessive gambling, credit card debt. I know how crippling it can be. I have some suggestions for you. Programs. I am not a financial coach, but I've gone through some programs that I would love to recommend to you. And then environment. This is our last one for factors that can negatively affect our mood, but our environment is so important. Where you live, who you're living with, your friends and family, your job. I'm sure we've all had those coworkers that we dread showing up to work with. Maybe we've been that negative person in going to work, and we're that person who's always gossiping, but making sure that we're in healthy environments. We can even create a negative environment for ourselves with negative self-talk. We're constantly telling ourselves that we're stupid or that we're ugly or that we have all these problems. Even poor lighting and decorating. If you go into a room that has 0 windows in it, it can feel very confining, like the walls are coming in. And ultimately being disorganized, if we walk into a car, a house that is extremely disorganized, then our results in life are going to feel disorganized, chaotic, all over the place. So I encourage you all to really assess your environments, who you're living with, how your environment looks, feels is so important to our mood and how we feel throughout the day. And then of course, last but not least, but are we sedentary? Are we just laying around on a day-to-day basis, not being very productive, just Netflix and chill all day, every day? If we have no purpose or meaning in life and we're not getting up and getting after it and using our energy, burning that energy, burning calories, then we're going to feel stressed out. We're going to feel anxious and we're going to feel depressed throughout our days. So how to change your mood? So enough of the doom and gloom, enough of the negativity. How do we actually put ourselves in a good mood? Number 1 is we have to develop awareness. If we don't know what type of mood we're in right now, later, then we're not going to be able to truly assess how I'm feeling. So those moments where you're like, I'm not feeling the best. I feel a little bit off, but I'm not sure why. Well, here is your moment to find out why. So what I'd like each of you to do is to think about these different areas, your relationships, your health and fitness, your finances, your personal growth, your career and fun and recreation. Rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 in each one of these areas and be very, very honest. This is for you. It's not for me. This is your life. So you're only lying to yourself. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how well are your relationships going with your parents, with your significant other, with your brothers and sisters, with your friends at work, your coworkers? On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate these relationships, honestly? And then health and fitness. How healthy would you consider yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, and why? Why do you consider yourself that rating? So it's just not good enough to say, oh, I'm a 7 at this, and then move on to the next one. Actually list out why. It's very, very important that we really drill into these areas and get very clear about why we're rating ourselves, whatever we're rating ourselves in these categories. So give it some deep thought. Then once we have the awareness, we need to set our intention. We need to develop a roadmap and start living our most optimized life to reduce negative moods and create great ones. And the fact is, nothing is ever perfect. Just begin. Some of us want all of the answers before we just start. But most importantly is just starting. So it's analysis by paralysis. If we have to change everything in our life, then we'll change nothing. So my goal for you is to just pick one thing. What's that one thing that you can subtract from your life? What's that one positive thing that you can add into your life? So subtract one thing and add one thing, and then set that intention for the week to master that one thing that you're adding into your life. And then creating a morning routine. If we want to be able to optimize our life and set our days up for success and having the best mood possible, we need a solid morning routine. Our morning routine is the foundation for our day. So I want to suggest waking up at the same time every day, because we are habitual creatures. If we wake up at the same time every single day, which requires us going to sleep at the same time every day, then naturally we're going to create this habit where we just automatically start to wake up in the morning. And that's the feeling that we want. We don't want to wake up feeling groggy, tired, like we didn't get enough sleep. First thing, waking up, drinking water is huge. We get dehydrated throughout the evening. We go 8 hours without any water. We need to replenish and hydrate as soon as we wake up. Taking vitamins, majority of our food out there are lacking the right nutrients. So we need to make sure we're taking some kind of vitamin supplement. So whatever that is for you, I highly recommend. If you don't have one, again, I have some recommendations. Would love to share those with you. Comment below, message me. Would love to share those with you. And meditation, this has been huge for my life. I've been meditating for the last 4 years, and now I'm getting my master's degree in mindfulness, and meditation has just changed my life. I meditate every morning, 30 minutes, and it's revolutionary. Stretch, walk, exercise, get the blood flowing in our bodies. The more flexible we are, the more we're going to have balance, the more we're going to feel, we're going to reduce those endorphins and dopamine inside of us that's going to make us just feel good. So the more active we are, the more healthy we are. We're all going through muscular dystrophy after a certain age. Around 30 years old, men and women go through muscular dystrophy, where literally our metabolism starts eating our cells from the inside out. So our muscles are going to start withering away, our bones are going to start withering away. So we need to do these things in order to fight the aging process. This isn't just a vain reason just to look good, but we need to stretch, walk, and exercise consistently, daily if we can, because this is what's going to keep us living a long, healthy, vibrant life. And then journal, affirmations. To fight all the negative noise that's out there, we need to set our intention for the day. So maybe we recap the previous day. Maybe we're going to write out what we're going to accomplish that day, the 3 top tasks that we want to get done, and then just affirming our mindset. So I love using the Metta Sutta, which is loving kindness. So may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be safe, may I be loved. I love just repeating these affirmations over and over again for about 5 minutes. And then lastly is eat light and healthy in the morning till you're about 80% full. Worst thing we can do is eat a whole bunch of stuff in the morning and kind of get into that groggy feeling right away. Food really does have a huge impact on our mood and the types of food that we're eating. So eat a light breakfast, get some good complex carbohydrates in your body, eat some fruit, and you'll be well on your way. Next thing is creating an evening routine. And really in order to have a great morning, that really starts in the evening. So number 1 is don't eat 2 hours before going to bed. This is really huge for our metabolism system and getting our body to get in a rested state. If our stomach is churning and burning, it's going to be harder for us to fall asleep. Number 2 is, again, journal, okay? So we can review our wins and improvements for that day. Putting our phone in another room 1 hour before bed has been huge for me and really helps me fall asleep within just a few minutes. Next is don't watch TV 1 hour before bed. We've probably all heard this, but the blue light that comes off of the TV and our phones is what's keeping us staying up later in the evening, longer than we should, so our body's not able to settle down and get into that really nice rested state. When we're watching TV and we're on our phones, it's actually promoting certain chemicals that are keeping us alert and awake. I know there's also blue light glasses that you can purchase out there, so look into those if you just can't get away from watching TV. But this has been huge for myself. coming into this year is actually putting my phone in another room. I got a regular traditional alarm clock, and I actually start reading before I go to bed. So hydrating before we go to bed is so important as well. Again, we're not actually drinking anything for those eight hours that we're asleep. So making sure that you're drinking about 8 ounces of water before you go to bed. And reading in bed and visualizations. I literally have a book on visualizations right next to my bed. So as soon as I hop in bed, that's what I'm reading. I'm doing these visualizations over and over and over again until I actually fall asleep. And then I already mentioned this, but getting a regular alarm clock has been huge for me. Give it a try, even if it's for one day. Maybe that's the one thing you add and the one thing you subtract. It's getting an alarm clock and putting your phone in a different room 1 hour before going to bed. It's been wonders for me, and maybe it'll be wonders for you. Another thing that affects our mood is eating the right foods. Our body is made of cells, and those cells are fed nutrients from the food that we eat. So if we're not eating the right foods, then we're not going to get the right nutrients to put us in the right mood, which is going to, affect our brain. It's going to affect our circulation in our bodies. It's going to affect our digestion system. So we need to make sure we're eating plenty of vegetables, fruits, lean meats. And coming back to the glycemic index, we can look at that and see what's going to fuel us for the day to have sustained energy. And of course, this isn't fun, sexy. Look, again, I love chocolate chip cookies, but moderation is key. And we need to make sure we're getting the right nutrients. And if not, we're taking the right supplementation to make up for what we're not getting in our food. And again, our body is mostly water. Have you ever seen someone in a great mood who's been in the desert for 3 days and has had no water? No, they're miserable. The reason why is because when our bodies are dehydrated, we're not able to sustain mental activity. We need water. Our brains need water. So the more hydrated we are, the better we're going to feel throughout the day. So make sure you're drinking plenty of water. My suggestion is half your body weight in ounces every day. So if you're 160 pounds, then that's 80 ounces of water. If you're 200 pounds, that's 100 ounces of water. You do the math, divide by 2, whatever weight you are, drink that in water in ounces every day. Now, of course, if you're training for something rigorous, or if you're sweating a lot during the day, if you're going to the gym, if you're going to the sauna, you probably need to drink more water. But this is just for the average person living their life on a day-to-day basis. And if all else fails, if you need to quickly change your state, skip, jump, dance, listen to happy music, whistle, sing, do something different than what you're currently doing. Just get out of that funk. If you're feeling down, then come on, get it going, get the arms pumping, get the blood flowing. We got to get out of that state quickly, and we got to do something to get ourselves into a different mood. And if you're in distress, here's 6 steps for you is pause for a moment and ask, are these thoughts helping me or hurting me? Am I living in the present or in the past or the future? Most of the times when we're feeling really anxious or stressed out or scared, we're probably thinking about something that's going to happen or something that has already happened. So making sure we're pausing and we're asking this simple question, assessing, is this real? Can I do something about this now? A lot of times we'll stress and have anxiety about things we can't do nothing about. So it's very important we pull ourselves into the present moment and just let life be how it will be. I love box breathing. Whenever I find my thoughts all over the place, I'll just simply stop and I'll start focusing on my breath. So what box breathing is we'll breathe in for 4 or 5 seconds. Then we'll hold our breath for 4 to 5 seconds, and then we'll let out for 4 to 5 seconds, and then we'll hold our breath again for 4 or 5 seconds. So let me see if I can do a demonstration for you. Okay, maybe not the best demonstration, but anyways, moving forward. So be present and practice equanimity. This is temporary and will pass. Everything is impermanent. Nothing lasts forever. Whatever it is, this too shall pass, okay? So it's not the end all be all. Life will move on. You will have another moment, okay? So don't put all your marbles into this emotion right here, right now. If you need someone to talk to, call a trusted friend. Now, not all of us have a trusted friend that we can call who we know is going to encourage us. But if you do, you are so fortunate. So reach out to that friend. For me, it's personally my mom. My mom is one of the most positive people out there. I love my mom. And if I'm having an issue, I call my mom and she's going to pick me up. So who's that person for you? And practice mindfulness. Of course, yes, mindfulness. I am getting my master's degree in this. And really, mindfulness is moment-to-moment awareness without judging our thoughts. So especially if we're meditating and we start having a thought, we'll say, that's not good. Can't have thoughts while I meditate. But we are actually judging that fact that we're having thoughts, and we're judging it as something that's bad. So again, is this helpful or hurtful? All right, so just a couple of more slides here. So a quick guide, understand yourself. So Vipassana meditation is a type of meditation that I practice and has been profound for me. And Vipassana literally stands for insight. So this style of meditation helps us become more aware of our thoughts, emotions, feelings, and learning to be more present in the moment and not judging those thoughts as good or bad. I practice daily for 30 minutes. Absolutely would love to help you. This has been life-changing, game-changing for me, and I really encourage you to start practicing it. Number 2 is to reflect and journal. Brought this up a couple of times, but number 1 is, what is causing this negative emotion? What is this? Number 2, what is this negative emotion trying to tell me? Number 3, what puts me in a good mood? Number 4, what makes me feel alive? Number 5, what activities make me happy? Number 6, what am I passionate about? And number 7, what music lifts me up? And number 8, what people support me? So pause this video right now, write these questions down, and start journaling these, because whenever we find ourselves having negative moods, we can always come back to these questions. We can always find the answers, and to change our mood quickly, we can come right back here. Intentionally suffer. A lot of times we try to escape suffering. We want to feel good all the time. But suffering is a part of life. As human beings, we're going to suffer. So it's better to put challenges in front of us, such as running a marathon, or going into, ice baths, or going into the sauna for long periods of time. Doing things that are going to be very, very difficult and challenging, but healthy for us. Not bad suffering, but good suffering, because what this does is develop resilience. So when we intentionally suffer and put these challenges in front of ourselves, we're building greater resilience for stress. So when actual stressful situations happen, we are more prepared for these, and we're not going to react as emotional and get into a negative mood. We're going to be more relaxed and calm and prepared to handle these difficult moments. And then focusing on growth is huge. One of my favorite quotes is by Leo Buscaglia, and it's, God's gift to us is potential. Our gift to God is reaching it. I really believe that all of us have tremendous potential, but we really have to fight and work against resistance in our lives in order to reach that. And for me, it's just the 1% rule, just getting 1% better every single day, whether that's physically, mentally, spiritually, but putting things in front of ourselves where we can try to get better. Now, some days maybe we go negative 2%, and some days maybe we go positive 3%, but it's the pursuit of every single day. I'm gonna read something that's gonna lift me up. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna challenge myself physically. I'm gonna do something that's gonna mentally activate something inside of me that's harder than what I'm used to doing. So just doing something that's challenging. It doesn't have to be all 3, but it can be one thing. But how can you start challenging yourself physically, mentally, spiritually every single day so you can start growing to get better? And then helping others is huge. Helping others most of the time doesn't cost us anything except a little bit of time, a little bit of effort. So a smile is contagious. So just by smiling at someone, most likely they're going to smile back at you. Not always, but for the most part, if you smile at other people, at strangers, they're going to smile back. Cultivating healthy and loving relations, I always say it starts with us. A lot of times we expect people to love us first, to give the compliment first, to hold the door open first, but be that person who takes the first step and is is working to cultivate healthy and loving relationships, not always just expecting people to love us first without us actually putting in that effort. So it's really the law of attraction. What we put out is what we'll get back. So the more we give out love, the more we'll receive love. And then helping others feel better than helping ourselves. I mean, really, whenever I help someone, I know I feel way better about myself. That can be as simple as holding the door open for a stranger and smiling. And then giving to charity. And giving to charity isn't always about giving money. It's about giving time. I was a big brother, big sister mentor for a while, and that was a tremendous, and I absolutely loved meeting with my little. But volunteering is huge. When we're in a community and we're volunteering and we're giving back, it's really hard to feel bad about ourselves and be in a bad mood. So that wraps up this training. What did you learn from this? What did you take away? What's something that you can add that's going to be positive for your life? And what's something you can subtract that's negative in your life? But always remember, don't wait for everything to be perfect to be happy. We must choose happiness. Happiness isn't something that's just going to slap us in the face. Some days are harder than the others, but the more that we can cultivate morning routine, evening routine, we become more aware of the different areas and strengths and weaknesses in our lives, the better we can start to control our moods and have better moods and be able to live an optimal, loving, great quality life with other people who love us as well. So I always want to say peace, love, and joy. If you enjoyed this training, enjoyed this webinar, comment below, shoot me an email at thestressacademy@gmail.com. Give me a follow on Instagram, message me there. Would love to connect with you. And if I can try to help you or make any suggestions in any of these areas, please let me know. Please reach out, and let's keep on keeping on and trying to live the best life possible.